In this video, I will show you how to use a tool called Vessi to take an existing Jupyter Notebook and deploy it as a static web application. So here we are on the Vessi GitHub repository, and I will just click on the video here to show you what happens. So we have this URL here in the browser, and we saw that the few cells were executing, and after all of the cells are executed, we have something that looks like a web application. So this is typically what we'll be doing in this video. We're going to start from a notebook and then look at the simplest way to have this notebook deployed somewhere on the web as a static web app. So here is a Jupyter Notebook that I wrote recently to create a small app to have a better sense of what compound interests are and what happens if you modify a couple of parameters. All of these ideas are usually a little bit confusing sometimes, especially people not very familiar with this concept. So I wanted to spend some time making a small app to have something interactive and something that can be used by anyone just to play around with and get an idea of what happens with this concept of compound interest. So here's the notebook. I've got a few cells to create this app, and it's using a library called ipcharts, which is based on Apache eCharts. So Apache eCharts is a JavaScript library, and this ipcharts is a wrapper around the JavaScript library that you can use directly in a Python notebook as a Jupyter widget. So this is really convenient. I don't need to write JavaScript to leverage the functionalities of these JavaScript libraries. I'm just using it right here in a notebook. If I execute a few cells here, I get my small app here that I can directly use in a Jupyter Notebook. And I can also render it with a tool called Voila. So Voila is typically you take your notebook as is and you run it through Voila and you get interactive dashboard. For this app, the dark theme looks a little bit better. So we can switch to the dark theme via the URL parameter here, and now we have our app in the dark theme. Can play around with the parameters here, so I can change this one, for example. Let's put this, then let's change this, and we see how the chart updates. Let's change this one as well. This one can go there. I can hover on the small app. So now I have this app that runs with Voila, but it runs locally. So this is where Vessi comes in. So Vessi is like Voila. It takes Jupyter Notebook, but instead of converting it to a live application that's going to run on your machine, it's going to create a static version of that Jupyter Notebook with Python running in a browser. Yeah, that sounds crazy like this, but it's now feasible, and it's all based on the whole Jupyter stack for running Python in a browser. So the simplest way to get a Vessi dashboard, which will be accessible to anyone, just a URL, is to start from this Vessi demo repository on GitHub. This Vessi demo repo is a GitHub template, and that means you can use this button here, and you can start from it and create a new repository. So let's just do this. I'm going to create a new repo based on this template. Here I need to choose my account, and I also need to pick a name for the repository. So here we're going to say, let's say compound interest calculator. Yeah, I leave the description empty for now, and I can click on create repository. It's going to take a few seconds to create the repository from the Vessi demo template. Okay. Once you are here, you need to go to the settings, click on Pages, and here we need to choose Deploy from GitHub Actions. So when you go back to the homepage of your repository, you see that the GitHub Actions is automatically building the Vessi dashboard for you. So if you refresh the page after 1 or 2 minutes, you will see that the check is now green and you can access your deployment via the deployment page here and click here. So you can click on the notebook file and it's going to open the default dashboard that is part of the Vessi demo template. Default dashboard is interactive. You can change a few parameters, interact with the drop-down as well. And you see that the graph is changing as you change the different parameters. That is the default notebook that comes with the Vessi demo template. But in our case, we'd like to get this little app instead of the default one. So let's first clear everything and save. So to take this Jupyter Notebook and have it deployed as a Vessi app on GitHub Pages, the simplest would just be to upload this notebook in the repo directly, change a few things to make it work. So the first thing we can do is go to the files. I'm gonna open it with the editor. It's going to be simpler like this. You can also upload it directly from your computer if you want to, but here I'm just going to copy everything. And here in content, I'm going to open the existing one. And click on edit. I'm going to paste everything here. So just for having all of the different changes grouped together, let's create a branch. I'll add new app. Let's click on the propose changes. So we have this new branch here on the repository with the notebook, but we also need to add the dependencies to be able to run a notebook in the browser. So let's do this. We open the environment.yaml file, and here we can replace pqplot by app by eCharts. We can also specify app by widgets. We use NumPy in the notebook, so it's put it there. And let's commit that to the add new app branch. Let's do this. And one more thing. Earlier we saw that the app looked a little bit better with the dark theme, so we can also change this. Let's go to the deploy GitHub workflow, which is the workflow that is building the app and pushing it to GitHub Pages. So here we see that there is the Vessi build command. To make the dark theme the default theme when opening the Vessi app, we can specify the theme dark command line parameter and click on commit changes. And I think that should be it. So once you have all of your changes that you want to make to your notebook, dependencies, and maybe a few other Vessi options, you can go back to the pull request tab, compare and pull request, and then click on create pull request. So this is going to take maybe 1 or 2 minutes to build. Here we have the continuous integration running. This is the first step before being able to publish this to GitHub Pages. So having this step run is also very useful because once it's complete, you can go to the details here and the summary of the check, download the build artifact. So that corresponds to what is going to be published to the GitHub Pages, and then look at it locally on your computer before it's going to be published in real, like on the repository directly. So this is also a nice way to double check that everything is all right. So let's wait a little bit more. So CI is now passing. We can, if we want, have a quick look at the changes. We see that we have the theme here specified in dark, and the new notebook, and also the new dependencies. So let's go back to the pull request and hit the merge button. Okay, you can delete the branch. And now we just need to wait a couple of minutes for the build to complete and to have the app published on GitHub Pages. Okay, we are back and we see that the deploy script is now complete. A little trick we can do here is go to the repo details, click on use your GitHub Pages website and click on save changes. This will just inline the URL directly here on the repo, which is very convenient. And then we can just click on that. So when you click on this, you end up on the same page as we saw before, and this time using the dark theme. So we can go ahead and click on the notebook. So it may take a little while to start the kernel and then execute the cells. This is because here, this is a step where Python is instantiated in a browser. So we have Python running in a browser, and then we have all of the cells run one by one to produce the web application. Now we see that the cells are being executed. We take a few more seconds, and we now have access to the application. And it's the same as when we were running it in Voila, except that now here, so the activity is still here, of course. You can change a few parameters, press enter to see how that reflects on the chart on the right. But now we have that deployed as a static web app. That means I can take this URL here and send it to someone so they can also play with it. That's it for this video. If you want to play with this yourself, with Vessi yourself, the best and the simplest would be to go to this Vessi demo repository like we did and just create your own deployment from this. And then if you want to know a little bit more on how to customize Vessi and what you can do with this, how to customize the different kernels, add the dependencies, you should check the docs, which are also linked in the README here. Hope you enjoyed and see you next time.